Part of being a content creator is showing off all of the new and wonderful cards in powerful shells. The other part of being a content creator is someone in the comments going, "What about Fantasticar curses?" and having to go, "All right, bet." Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today I'm going to use a Dealer's Choice donation deck list from Bennett to run back Curses, but shove the Fantasticar into it, which I actually think is a legitimately good idea. Before I do that though, I just want to talk a little bit about the Fantasticar. I want you all to understand that the Fantasticar is not a card I am hyping up as a content creator as a new release. This is probably legitimately a broken card. The card has been on Magic Online for just over 24 hours as of the time of recording. I am actually level 1, the largest vintage content creator, has 5-0'd with it 3 times already. There's screenshots running around of the vintage decklist dumps where it's just like Fantasticar, 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 and people are going like, oh gosh. On the Legacy end, it has results in Doomsday, Arclight Phoenix, Storm, its own dedicated colorless combo deck. This card is going places very, very, very quickly. So here is what I've cooked up for today. And I said in my previous Fantasticar video that I thought the Fantasticar was going to be better in Dark Ritual decks than Ancient Tomb decks, but what about the deck that has both? This is a deck that has 12 different mana producers that you can potentially use to power out the Fantasticar. And the other thing that's kind of fascinating here is that as a one-ring deck, it is pretty easy to refuel. And sometimes you get into these situations where you have like 10 cards in hand with the one ring and you just need to end the game. Well, that's what the Fantasticar does. It just shoves 16 power at once, and that usually is enough to kill your opponent with the self-damage that they do from fetch lands and Force of Wills and Thoughtseizes and things of that nature. This deck was all about shoving one of these 12 cards anyway. Why not add a couple more cards that just attempt to shove on turn 1? So when you have one of these Dark Ritual Lotus Petal Chrome Mox openers, you can just Fantasticar, and it's not all that hard to get 4 mana on turn 1. You can do something like land, Dark Ritual, Fantasticar, Lotus Petal, Thoughtseize, and you're there. I don't know that this is the perfect Fantasticar deck, as there are a bunch of expensive cards in it, but it was intriguing enough of an idea that I want to give it a try. In case you weren't here for the previous version, we've got a couple of things we want to do. Number 1 is we can go gambling with Herald, who can never do us dirty, and who always ends up finding exactly the enchantment we need. I have increased the number of Overwhelming Splendors and Cruel Realities in the Game 1 deck. I was pretty much boarding in extra copies of Curses every time anyway, so I've removed the Swords to Plowshares that were in the Game 1 deck, and now we are just jamming. This is just violence.the deck. I have also added a single Underground Sea to the deck, and added a Curse of Unbinding in the sideboard as another potential tutor target. At the beginning of Enchanted Player's upkeep, that player reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control, and then they put the rest into their graveyard. So this serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it can just get you something like an Emrakul from your opponent if they are playing a large creature deck. You know, you getting an Emrakul or an Atraxa is pretty sweet. And number 2, against decks that actually don't have creatures, this can just be a game over button that mills them out. And Curse of Misfortunes has the ability to tutor us into the exact curse we want for a matchup, which is why we have things like Curse of Exhaustion in the first place that are a little more narrow. Ultimately, to win the game, we're hoping to go Overwhelming Splendor into Curse of Death's Hold, turning our opponent's creatures into 1/1s and then killing all of them forever. and then we can end the game with Cruel Reality. As a rules note here, Curse of Misfortunes needs a handful of curses with different names to function well, which is why we have 4 different curses in the main deck, and which is why previously I ran some other things like Curse of Misfortunes as well that I've removed from this build. Last time around, I didn't really sideboard, like, at all. I think I had 3 extra curses that I sideboarded in a bunch and I otherwise didn't touch the sideboard, so I'm trying some other options here to just lean into the fact that we're going to just shove in a lot of matchups. I wonder if we should be playing Tormod's Crypt for Fantasticar purposes, other than Leyline of the Void I've normally been doing, because things like Oops exist and Storm decks can potentially turn one you with Echo of Eons. I think I'll stick with Leyline, but let the record show that I thought about it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into some matches here, folks. If you need any Magic cards, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. And when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. We might be seeing some very different Eternal formats with the Fantasticar legal. And if you need cards, get them here. Support me while supporting a great store. All right, let's battle. All right, does this make 5 mana on turn 1? From Mox, Imprint, Cruel Reality, Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal, Curse of Misfortunes? 1, 3, 4, 5, Curse. We shove, we have no backup plan. This is fully a Force of Will check hand, where we almost certainly win the game. Oh, it looks like my opponent is F6'd. We almost certainly win the game if this curse resolves, and we almost certainly lose the game if it doesn't. Curse. All right, that is a turn 1 resolved Curse of Misfortunes. That should solo the game if we don't die on my opponent's turn 1. Magic. Note that Fantasticar would have attacked for 16 here as well. Just would have been Chrome Mox, Dark Ritual, Fantasticar as 3, Lotus Petal as 4, go. It would not be it would not be unreasonable for my opponent to just concede here. Flooded Strand, Basic Island, and Delver. Let's go search for a curse. Which one do I want first? Probably just Cruel Reality immediately. That's not my normal order of operations, but if my opponent gets a bounce spell and I only have one of these in play, I think I want the one that takes out my opponent's creatures every single turn. And I get to Thoughtseize them. Eventually take a Brazen Borrower style card. Multiple Kori Steelcutters and Flow State. That's all fine. I think I will take a Kori Steelcutter over the Flow State. So this Cruel Reality is going to make my opponent sacrifice their Delver. And they can attempt to go wide of me with the Kori Steelcutter. That probably won't end up working, as I will just get Curse of Death's Hold next. Yeah, opponent not even playing out the Kori Steelcutter immediately. And between Curse of Death's Hold and Overwhelming Splendor coming, we should easily have this one locked down. And this is going to be 5 life from my opponent for Cruel Reality here. I think I'm going to do Curse of Death's Hold first over Overwhelming Splendor, because I don't want to draw the Curse of Death's Hold. I don't care if my opponent Murktides, because I have this. Yeah, let's get Curse of Death's Hold first. Lotus Petal can chill in my hand. Opponent takes 5 from Cruel Reality. Drops a Volk. I think that's my opponent. Okay, no, it's Kori. They can Brainstorm and make a friend. That friend is just going to get sacrificed to Cruel Reality. So I will take 1 point of damage here. And then we'll pick up Overwhelming Splendor the next time. And now this monk has no ability. And I'll pass the turn here and let Cruel Reality kill my opponent. Takes a little while, but it shouldn't really be a problem. Yeah, you can Flow State. And then as of my next turn, I will have Curse of Exhaustion, and Kori Steelcutter can't make any more creatures. My opponent is working so hard for these singular points of damage. I will take 1. 16. And then we curse again. Get the Curse of Exhaustion. I guess I can play that land. I don't super care if I get wastelanded right now. Cruel Reality kills that monk. Opponent drops a land. Yeah, I am surprised they played it out that long. The game was over once this card resolved. GG. So now I get to decide how I want to play the next game. I can go the route of try to get my thing to resolve, or I can go the route of like remove the creatures that are trying to kill me. And I don't know what the answer is here. I think I want to try to resolve my stuff. Defense grids in duress for Fantasticar. It feels like the curses are just very good here. I would not mind another Curse of Death's Hold, since Ori Steelcutter is one of the scarier things that can happen to me. I think I'll turn Curse of Exhaustion into Curse of Death's Hold. And I think I'm going to turn 1/1 Ring into a duress as well. I think the protection is important here. So that's 2 pieces of protection, no payoff card. I think I'll mulligan. Yeah, this is fine. I just put the Cruel Reality back into the deck. I'm going to deal a lot of self-damage, though, which is a problem. This one might not win. Delver comes down. There's Herald, which probably means that I want Scrub here, despite the fact that Wasteland is a thing. I will grab that, and I think I start on Thoughtseize. Take Force of Will now. Take Consign in a minute. Coast is kind of clear if you squint at it funny. Delver blind flips to Flow State. Opponent ponders and shuffles. That's good for me. But I am under the gun from the turn 1 flipped Delver. Don't want to draw Cruel Reality, but here we are. I will duress my opponent. I will take the Consign. It does let my opponent Flow State properly, but the Consign is good against both the One Ring and Herald, which I don't want to see. My opponent can now fetch and Flow State, and they can look for Wasteland off of Flow State as well. This is scary. Yep, this is exactly what I was talking about. Okay, they took out the wrong land from my perspective, which is great. Ooh. Yeah. This is a little tight here. The good thing is that if I draw a land and resolve Herald, Herald trades with Delver, and there's a good chance that most of my opponent's removal has been boarded out. The bad news here is that, like, between Ancient Tomb and Delver, I am nearly dead already. I'm not even sure if playing that defense grid is correct when I know one of my opponent's cards is just Mystic Sanctuary. My deck is mostly mana, though, so hopefully I just draw a mana source, jam Herald, and we're good. All right, fantastic. I will fully be in Lightning Bolt range, by the way. And my opponent can do something like pay for a Force of Will or Daze here. Yep. And then we will die to that Delver. GG. I think I'm going to run back the same plan. Like, we died to the Delver where these would have been better than the Duress and the Defense Grid. But having to deal with Daze, Force of Will, Force of Negation, and Consign to shove most of these cards, I think means that it's better to try to punch a hole and go. Yeah, I am comfortable with this. This is fully just play defense grids until they resolve, and then resolve Curse of Misfortunes, which will solo the game. All right, defense grid is in, and even if my opponent wastelands me, Dark Ritual up to 3, down to 2, up to 5, resolve Curse on turn 2. That's Misty Rainforest. Feels like GG. You can bobble. Uh-huh. There's your redraw. Another Dark Ritual. I will go ahead and use one of these. I will pay the 2 life to Curse of Misfortunes, and we know that it resolves. So in all likelihood, my opponent hits me for 3 here, and then we are good for the remainder of the game. As Ponder is the final card type for DRC. Island comes down. I will take that 3, go to 13, say yes. I think I'm starting with Cruel Reality again. It just saves the immediate 3 life. Did I just cast that? I think I just cast that. Like, I know it is resolving. Double Dark Ritual and Curse You, and this helps against some of the Ori Steelcutter stuff and saves me the time of searching this out. So Cruel Reality takes out a creature. I don't really know what they're looking for at this stage. Yeah. Pretty easy match on our end, although the game 2 where we were on the draw versus turn 1 blind flipped Delver was incredibly scary when paired with our Ancient Tombs. GG. Curse deck doing curse things. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I love them. I have over 1,000 deck lists here. And I think the thing that I like the most about them is they're more than just a basic deck builder. If you need information about your next pre-release or where you can get cards, they have that sort of stuff here too. Whether you need to manage your collection or just a couple of decks, Moxfield does it all. So go check them out. All right. I could keep this hand and try to go for turn 4 Herald. I think we just tried to do better than that. Yes. I keep this. And I think I junk a land so I can Chrome Mox Overwhelming Splendor. And have both the One Ring and Curse of Misfortunes as things to jam. It's definitely a little weird. There's a lot of things to think about here in terms of like Chalice on 0 versus Prismatic Ending on a thing. All right, we are playing against Reanimator, which is very fast and very consistent. It means I probably don't have to worry about Wasteland so much. I'm going to imprint this, and I'm playing the One Ring as counterspell bait here. Like, this is the card I actually want to resolve. Oh shit, I just resolved the One Ring. Fuck yeah, that's unexpected. I don't really want to draw Cruel Reality, but the hope is that next turn I can resolve a Curse of Misfortunes and that's fast enough to beat my opponent. They don't get to use discard spells on me immediately. That's the good news. Tainted Indulgence. And opponent's a second main phase hipster. Ooh, no creature for Tainted Indulgence? That's rough. Alright, Lotus Petal means that I get to do my thing here for sure. I don't get to do my thing and Thoughtseize my opponent. That's tricky. I think I just shove. That's what we came here to do. And if it resolves, cool. And if it doesn't, I just try again next turn. My opponent doesn't have the creature in the graveyard immediately, so I'm not like hyper sweating casting the Thoughtseize. Definitely nervous despite having the One Ring in play, like for sure. Yeah, this I care less about. I care about the giant creature, which is not happening. Like, we will end the game before that Tamiyo beats us. Alright, any mana source, please. Alright, cool. Oddly, I can't, because this is a white card, I can't do Curse of Misfortunes and Thoughtseize. Slightly unfortunate. I'm going to just grab my basic in case that ends up being relevant. Alright, yeah, we're in play. And I will just use Cruel Reality to get rid of Tamiyo, and then the only thing I need to do is beat my own One Ring, which I will accomplish by casting a new One Ring at some point. This is part of the reason why Curse of Misfortunes was in the original build. Spots like this. Flow state is fine. I think I'm actually most scared if my opponent just minuses and returns the Force of Will. Alright, Swamp. And another flow state. Alright, cool. Tamiyo just pluses. That's fine. So I will Curse of Misfortunes for the last Cruel Reality, by the way, since we've drawn a couple of them. Lose some to the One Ring. Go to 7. Draw cards looking for a new One Ring. Succeed. I just need to make sure this resolves. This is worth the 2 life of a Thoughtseize here. As a Force of Negation. Sure. So I think I should be good from here. It will fetch to 6. I don't think I need the other basic. I don't think I need the other basic. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Keep the one with no counters, and then we just never draw with this, and probably never tap Ancient Tomb again. The Cruel Reality takes out Tamiyo here, and I need to... No, I don't need to dodge Raff and Mikey this turn. I just have protection this turn, at which point I Overwhelming Splendor, and I should be good. Opponent can loot. Yeah, I don't know opponent's hand, but I wonder if they misplayed by not Tamiyo minusing. Like, if they have more blue cards in hand, which it looks like they did, then having both Force of Will and Force of Negation in that spot potentially wins them that one. But I'm not going to fault my opponent for misplaying against Curses and not having like that matchup experience to know what they need to be doing. The average player is not prepared to play around Overwhelming Splendor. Yeah, you can reanimate the Oculus. That is fine. So you may manifest Dread. I will use this ability. And Overwhelming Splendor you. Those are 1/1s. And I want to resolve this card. I would prefer to play that without losing life. I think I just play Herald this turn and Shadowy Backstreet. Herald is just a 2/2 versus my opponent's 1/1s. Alright, we miss on this card. That's fine. And then throw down the Shadowy Backstreet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I don't need that. And then my opponent sacks one of their 1/1s here. The token was a Reanimate. Definitely missing Curse of Misfortunes just for the sake of having extra curses with different names. Petty Theft, sure. That's a little scary. I'll just chump this turn so I won't lose anything. But that's not that big of a deal, and I will just like play another Overwhelming Splendor with Curse of Misfortunes. But it's definitely a little annoying. The Oculus specifically is pretty good versus Cruel Reality, as opposed to the normal creature, in air quotes. Cameo does a thing. My opponent gets to manifest their Dread. I will get the last Overwhelming Splendor, and then I just resolve Curse of Death's Hold, and we're good. Fantasticar also a thing. Cool. And I think I can do this without losing life as well, which is great, because margins are tight. There's the board wipe, and now it takes a couple turns, but in 3 more turns, Cruel Reality just solos this game. The Curse of Misfortunes haters from the previous leagues, absolutely in shambles. Opponent got to use Tainted Indulgence for full value there. Alright, they play an Oculus. It dies immediately. Yeah, GG. So I would like to play my Leyline of the Voids. Oh, I want Curse of Unbinding as well. I'm going to board out one of the Fantasticar or the One Ring here. Curse of Exhaustion becomes Curse of Unbinding. And then do I care more about the Fog or more about doming my opponent for 16? I legitimately don't know. I think it's the Fog. It is weird to me that I keep boarding out the Fantasticar. It was not something I was expecting. But in both of the matches we have played so far that are creature heavy, it just makes sense. My hand is okay. It wouldn't be terrible to keep this. This can just do a thing on turn 2. I think Leyline of the Void is strong enough that I mulligan once looking for it. Yeah. And I will keep this, pitch the Cruel Reality, and hope to draw any payoff card. I think the combination of Leyline plus Thoughtseize is pretty strong. See what my opponent does. Okay, so I will just probably lose my own Thoughtseize here. That's fine. The fact that this stops the reanimation stuff while stopping some of the secondary things like Oculus is really good. I don't even know if I want to Thoughtseize here. What am I afraid of my opponent dropping? I guess Tamiyo is annoying. Alright. I think I take Consign. That's a really good Brainstorm, though. Like, this is not a great card, and this is not a great card. I think I'm just going to take that Brainstorm. We will settle in for a longer game. Like, there's a decent chance that at some point my opponent just gets rid of some of their bad cards via Careful Study anyway. And we'll probably just see a Surveil land here. No to the Flow State, which also has gotten worse. A land comes down. So now we're just play and draw go until one of us does something broken. I have to do something broken through Consign, and my opponent has to do something broken through Leyline. My opponent gets rid of their Reanimate. I only have one Surveil land now that I inserted the Underground Sea into the deck. Alright. Yeah. I think I will. It's probably fine to get the Underground Sea, right? Not super expecting Wasteland. Dark Ritual. And I will curse my opponent. Consign can buy a turn. But if the Consign is used here as opposed to outright countering a Herald or One Ring, that's like actively pretty good for me. And I'll just pass here. Now don't have any information about my opponent's hand. Bowmasters is fine. I can take that out immediately with a Curse of Death's Hold if that's something that I would like to do. And again, these Careful Studies are so much worse when they are not working towards Reanimator lines or working towards powering up a flow state. All right, I will take 2. Now I get to curse again. Say yes. This one is funny. I don't think I do it first. I think I'm going to take 2 and shut off the abilities of my opponent's creatures, so that nothing crazy happens. It does mean that this turns into a 2/2, so it won't die immediately to Overwhelming Splendor. I don't think that's a problem. Or sorry, die immediately to Curse of Death's Hold. I will take 3. I take Curse of Unbinding now. There's like very niche scenarios in which that can backfire. I think I will just get the Cruel Reality into play. I don't want my opponent to like Brazen Borrower my Leyline out of play. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Roll Reality U without tapping Ancient Tomb. Yeah, that's fine. Do the Cruel Reality thing. Make my opponent lose their 1/1. Underground Sea comes down. I take a little bit of damage here. And then we're good from there. We are 2-0 with curses yet again. That is a very good string for curses overall. Because I believe I 5-0'd last time, so curses is now lifetime with this build 7-0. GG's. Alright, my opponent has revealed a Yorion Companion. If they are just a D&T deck, they are dead on turn 1. They will just lose to Curse of Misfortunes being put into play on turn 1. And if they're a blue deck, I fetch a basic instead. Esper Sentinel, yeah, you got it, bud. Chromox Imprint Cruel Reality, Thoughtseize you, then Dark Ritual, Petal, Curse, and got even better. Or I guess alternatively, I go land Thoughtseize. I don't think I need white mana immediately. The Curse is just going to solo this game. Get the basic. You may draw your card. I will take your Witch Enchanter. It's not relevant anytime soon, but it is the thing that is relevant to this game. Imprint Cruel Reality. We play the spells. Dark Writ and Curse of Misfortunes. GG? Overwhelming Splendor is just, frankly, too much for my opponent's deck. It just shuts off everything pretty much immediately, and the Curse of Death's Hold follow-up is brutal. Like, Curse of Death's Hold just as a card, killing all of the creatures that look like this, is already good. Like, Dread of Night, classic, anti-D&T style deck card. You can Esper Sentinel. Absolutely. And yeah. I will search for a curse. Despite the fact that this gives me 3 kills immediately, it's just correct to get Overwhelming Splendor first. And I'll pass the turn here. Because the only way I lose is if Curse of Misfortunes leaves play. So shutting off my opponent's creatures that can potentially do that matters so much. That Plains comes down. White Orchid Phantom comes in. Opponent can pitch cast a Solitude to make a 1/1. It'll lose its evoke ability. Yes. Curse of Death's Hold. Everyone is dead. And then I still have another Cruel Reality in the deck to go and find. Beautiful. GG. I will want to board in another Curse of Death's Hold for sure. And I don't need Curse of Exhaustion, so that's an easy swap. From here, I start thinking about whether I want removal or discard. It might be discard because discard is easier to play to power up Fantasticar. The life loss is relevant, though. It's like, do I want to be able to remove the Stoneforge Mystic that's in play for Meteor Sword, or do I want to be able to Thoughtseize the Meteor Sword? That's kind of where we're at. I think I just whack the submit button. And this is where, like, Fantasticar 16U on turn 1 is also very good. I've boarded out the Fantasticar the last couple of times. Hello, the Fantasticar. Spell 1, Spell 2, Spell 3? This also just plays Herald on 1. I'm going to keep it. I would like the Fantasticar to do its thing, though. Basic Plains and Aether Vial. Yeah, I mean, I'll spin the dice on Herald here. We'll get my basic Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual. Alright, Herald. Don't do me dirty. I believe in you. Fuck. Herald, why did I believe in you? My god, what a terrible set of cards on the top of the deck. I would have lost the game if I did not clear those cards. Holy shit. Wow. Alright, Herald whiffs. Gambling has failed. My hand is now very bad, and I will likely lose this game. It's a shame we didn't draw another piece of artifact mana to Fantasticar. Alright, we played around Wasteland. There's the Stoneforge. Finding the Meteor Sword. Yup. I don't remember exactly. I think we were something like 85% chance to hit a curse. So somewhere in that ballpark. Vial goes up to 2. Life is bad. And opponent's just going to pass the turn, hold up, and Meteor Sword. Probably just take out one of my lands. Yep. Not good. Get in there, Herald. Oh no. White Orchid Phantom for first strike. Oh wow, opponent is blowing up their Wasteland. From my perspective, that card was incredibly good. Because that was keeping me from fetching a Surveil land. Alright, first strike beats me in combat. Vial to 3 as well. Esper Sentinel is fine. I will be taking 3 here. And Romox? No thank you. Now my draws are going to look like that. I think I have to just cast this and let my opponent draw a card here. I think I just need to put this into play. Vial to 4. I think that's the point where I can't win this anymore. Opponent can now get something like Cauldra as well. I take 4 this turn, go to 11. I think my opponent's got this one. GG. I should know this if I'm going to keep playing this deck. What is the math on Herald hitting? Ballpark. Yeah, just looking at it from the full deck, from the full 60 cards, when looking at 8, I hit a little over 85% of the time. So that was some poor variance, but like 15% is a large-ish number. So that's not unexpected. Maybe I don't actually have enough cheap stuff for Fantasticar. This will be a no from me. Ancient Tomb, Chromox Imprint Curse, cast Fantasticar Lotus Petal, that's 3? I think I will just resolve Curse a turn or so down the line. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 mana towards it next turn. Fantasticar could be the backup 4/4 flyer. I think I will just keep my mana sources. I think I will go Scrub and pass. That way, if one of my lands gets wastelanded, it's not the Ancient Tomb. So, mission successful. Another Curse is fine. I think in respect of Esper Sentinel, I will play that out. I don't think I'm going to Chrome Mox immediately. Aether Vial comes down. That is not a problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Chrome Mox 5 is Curse. And we're moving faster than something like Witch Enchanter. So I suspect we're good. Imprint. Curse, yeah. I take 2 to do that. Shouldn't be a problem. And then my opponent basically needs to answer that this turn, or it's game over. What even does that? They don't have the mana to activate like a Cathar Commando. Yeah. We are 3-0, and Curses is 8-0. Deck is apparently quite good. GG. Alright, so this hand shoves a Herald on turn 2. That's what we're here to do. I'll keep it. We'll see what my opponent is up to. It's very bad if I get, like, Thought Seized and lose this card. It is a Ponder. And a Shuffle. I have a Herald on turn 1? Alright. I'm in. I'll do the basic here. Dark Ritual. Lotus Petal. And Herald. Oh, we're in play. That is a Curse of Misfortunes on turn 1. Hell yeah. Thank you, Herald. You've never, not even once, done me dirty, and I really appreciate you just clocking in, doing consistent work. Oh, weird. Opponent says, Magic Online is dumb. I can't see the rest of what was exiled. Yeah, I can't either. Do they just go away? Huh. Yeah, they're not in the revealed zone. That's strange. But yes, I'll use this ability. I think I'm going to go for Overwhelming Splendor first. I don't know exactly what I'm playing against here, but Overwhelming Splendor, shutting off stuff like Thassa's Oracle and large reanimation targets seems good to me. Opponent to 15. And I think I'm just going to cast the Fantasticar here. Under the assumption that this hits for 4 to 8 damage over the remainder of this game if it resolves. Alright, I don't know what my opponent is playing, but GG. So now in the face of not knowing what my opponent is playing, how do I want to sideboard? Defense Grid Duress? I don't think I mind something like bam, 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 bam. This hedges against like Reanimator stuff while just being a curse with a different name for if games go long versus control. Okay. I think I am willing to keep this. I think this just goes turn 1 Thoughtseize you, turn 2 Defense Grid, and we work towards these eventually with my deck that is like 53% mana or some shit. I get Thoughtseized. I lose one of the Heralds. Ooh, opponent does have some unfair stuff in their deck. Uh-oh. Are you Fantasticar? Oh, you're Phoenix. Which also probably means you are Fantasticar. So that is 3 Arclight Phoenix to the bin. So because my opponent has cast 3 or more instants and sorceries, they get all of those back immediately. Which is going to overpower just about everything I can do, right? Yeah. So I will go and take a look at one other card here, gain some additional information about what my opponent has. Okay, it's just cantrips. Arkin says, format became a bit faster than it used to be. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. GG. I want this other duress now, for sure. And now I'm less concerned with Defense Grid and Curse of Unbinding, and I want Curse of Exhaustion back. And I don't hate Leylines. I think I'm going to pull a 1-ring and a random fetch land to get my playset in there. Oh, that's weird. I think I keep this. I'm not shoving here, but I get to Leyline to stop the Phoenixes and Thoughtseize to potentially stop the Fantasticar. I don't think I can throw this back. Now, do I want to protect my curse? I think I want to protect my curse. I will take their Thoughtseize. So Underground Sea was the draw for turn. We know that Arkin still has double Polluted Delta. That's okay. Chrome Mox is almost good. Doesn't currently imprint for the white I need for Curse of Exhaustion, though. Delta comes down. That next Ponder comes down. We might be in for a much slower game here. So that doesn't cast Curse of Exhaustion. All right. 2, 4, 5, 6, imprint 7. I'm just going to drop this one. I don't know that I want to give up Curse of Exhaustion to cast Cruel Reality next turn. So now hard cast Force of Negation is online. There's red mana for Ponder. Well, a land that produces red mana. We do have to keep in mind that just hard cast Arclight Phoenix and Fantasticar 1 spell a turn is a thing as well. All right, I am willing to now throw away a Cruel Reality and get that Force of Negation out of hand. Ugh. In this house, we just... Oh, I tapped wrong. Black, black. In this house, we just cast our 7 drops, as Richard Garfield intended, off all of our fast mana. Thundering Falls. Okay, it is just a daze, so Arkin is able to keep Force of Negation. Note the cost of the Underground Sea not being a white source for Curse of Exhaustion is real. I did this so that on the off chance that we drew the blue curse, we could just cast it. Fuck it, we ball! Will we get the Force of Negation now? Nope. Dealt 10 to myself with Ancient Tombs. This is the 3rd time that Thundering Falls has been used. Buried Alive goes away. That's a flow state that is not powered up. Notably, I think I only have 1 more Cruel Reality in the deck, with 2 of those having been countered. A bit unusual. Yeah. Yeah. This, like, probably saves me life if we start going into a fair game. It's not that good. I don't think I would counter that if I was Arkin. I'm just gonna get domed by Fantasticar twice and die. I guess 3 times and die because of the curse. Alright, there's a fetch. Dark Ritual. Fantasticar. Thoughtseize. And this is where never hitting that white source for Curse of Exhaustion is relevant. And then Force of Will it. And that'll be 6... Well, no, that'll be 9 12 damage, which is lethal. That is rather disappointing there. The streak is broken. The Fantasticar just cast and attacking for 4 a couple of times maybe beats me on that board. But we had a lot of time and just didn't draw what we needed to follow it up. The multiple dazes there was rough. We knew about the Force of Negation and tried to bait it out, but failed. GG's, we're still 3-1. This is still a great league. All right, opening hand. I have to fetch Scrubland. We're going to be very, very, very bad against Wasteland. Otherwise, I have like Herald and One Ring as things to shove. This is totally fine. Get Scrub and Thoughtseize you. Oh, do I take the Breakthrough or the LED? Probably the Breakthrough. The LED lets my opponent dump everything into Graveyard at will, but that's not doing anything yet. There's no Dredger yet. This is potentially problematic. I think I'm taking the Breakthrough that lets my opponent dig. I would like to draw a piece of fast mana to jam One Ring or Herald next turn. Delta comes down. Opponent should play out the LED even if they're not going to do anything with it immediately. All right, miss on the fast mana for this turn. I'm passing here, and we are just kind of holding on to our butts and hoping that my opponent doesn't do something like end of turn Surveil, get a Dredger, and then get 2 Cephalid Coliseum or something. The goal is win game 1 and then immediately leyline one of games 2 or 3. Opponent's doing something. Getting Volk. 2 cards in graveyard. But, you know, so the only thing that's in there right now is a Golgari Thug, so we'll see how bad this is. Okay, it leads into Grave Troll, which is not great. Let's dismiss this and pop out this zone. Opponent can now Faithless Looting as well. Seems good. And dredge 2 more times. All right. So Herald hitting basically wins the game on the spot. If I hit Overwhelming Splendor. Hitting Cruel Reality is not actually good. Hitting Curse of Death's Hold auto triggers Poxwalkers, which is weird. I think I'm going to try to spike Overwhelming Splendor here. I'm definitely scared. Herald would never do me dirty. Curse of Exhaustion or Curse of Misfortune? Misfortune gets me Overwhelming Splendor on my turn if I live, so I think I go Curse of Misfortunes. We're going to call that a success. We didn't hit the card immediately, but we did ultimately hit the card that I'm looking for. And now opponent can dredge 6, and I think I'm just okay. I can also block with Herald. My opponent attacks. Opponent could just Dread Return an Ox right now. Yeah. So then they get some draws. So a set of dredges there doesn't fully empty the library for Thassa's Oracle purposes. Is there a haste enabler? I don't see one. I think I might now be too late for Overwhelming Splendor. All right. Ball Therapy. I need the One Ring to fog to buy this turn. Is there another? Fuck, there is another Therapy. So even if they miss, they can still get my One Ring. Rough. All right, they named Swords. So now they just flash it back. They take my One Ring. I might need to draw another One Ring here. That was a good set of dredges. I think I have to take the Curse of Misfortunes over the Curse of Exhaustion to have a reasonable chance at winning the game. Yeah, there's another Therapy. So I lose the One Ring. Are there 15 bodies on the battlefield? Yes, there are. Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the Cards. Another Dread Return. So my opponent is dredging. Blue mana for Careful Study. Okay, now the deck is empty. And there is yet another Dread Return. So I will lose to Thassa's Oracle this turn. Well, damn. That got out of control quickly. GG. If I take the LED on turn 1, Breakthrough lets my opponent just draw a bunch of cards either on turn 1 or turn 2 and end up dumping a Dredger into the graveyard. Maybe I buy myself a tiny bit of time. Curse of Death's Hold is really, really weird in this matchup. Alright, am I giving up on the Fantasticar? I think having seen other opening hands, I just give up on this. This was not something I should have done. Should not have listened to the YouTube comments. Alright, some portion of this is good. I probably board down one random mana source. Overwhelming Splendor plus Cruel Reality is, well, sorry, plus Curse of Death's Hold is still very much the plan. It's just, like, the interaction with Poxwalkers and Narcomoeba and Bridge from Belows is just really weird. I think I'm going to do another one so that I can, in theory, put 2 in play and call that good. It's really hard for this deck to sideboard more than a couple of cards. No, thank you. This is turn 2 Curse of Misfortunes. I think I accept that. Get rid of Overwhelming Splendor. And while I would love Leyline, it did not happen here. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the mana towards casting Curse of Death's Hold. If I take this, I Ancient Tomb, Dark Ritual, Curse of Misfortunes next turn. The following turn, this doesn't let me play Curse of Death's Hold immediately. I think I just say no to that then. Alright. I'm definitely scared here. My opponent's deck is very fast, and I don't have the Leyline. Like, there's very much no guarantee that I will get the full turn cycle to enable Curse of Misfortunes. Opponent is passing here, though. So, Ancient Tomb, Dark Ritual, Ursia. Going to 18 to do so. It's in play. Now, last time, while I was waiting for the single turn cycle to, like, get my safety, my opponent combo killed me. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. Volcanic Island into Otherworldly Gaze. 2 dredgers hit the yard. That's pretty bad. This is likely to be a good turn for my opponent. The bridge hits the yard. I need 1 turn. Overwhelming Splendor hitting play will result in me winning the game if my opponent doesn't go crazy this turn. But, like, there's an LED in play. Otherworldly Gaze can be flashed back immediately, trying to, like, hit a Faithless Looting. There could be a breakthrough in hand. Into the Floodmaw on Curse of Misfortunes is annoying for me. Oh no. I'm probably dead. And if I had the Leyline, my opponent would have had Into the Floodmaw for it anyway. Oh boy, folks. That's a rough set of triggers. Cabal Therapy is there as well to take the curse. Yikes. So there's the therapy, and there goes my curse. Now I need, like, a Herald as the top deck. Chromac's not doing me any favors here. I suspect that I die on my opponent's turn, unfortunately. They can dredge 6. There's an Ox in the graveyard for Dread Return purposes. Flashback Otherworldly Gaze to get the Poxwalkers first. And I presume that Dread Return sacking Narcomoeba, Poxwalkers ends up being lethal through Thassa's Oracle. Alright, Cabal Therapy first. So my opponent can take out my curse. It's not really relevant. Like, at this point, when my opponent has Bridge from Below in graveyard and presumably about to be multiple Bridge from Belows, the curse will just upgrade their Narcomoebas and Poxwalkers into zombies. And every time the Poxwalkers come back, fish does not fly. Every time the Poxwalkers comes back, it will then result in another 2/2 zombie. In Herald, we trust. Oh, no, okay. We are doing the post-combat now that the Narcomoeba has gotten saucy. And now Ox gets to mill things. And since I, like, do not have removal, my opponent can just go for Thassa's Oracle without the library being empty. Although they did get it down to empty. Yeah, I see a Thassa's Oracle and a Dread Return. Opponent has got it there. GG's. That is a 3-2 finish, where we lost to 2 graveyard decks, I believe. GG's. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Don't listen to YouTube comments at 6 in the morning. I conceptually thought that the Fantasticar was going to be something that was good to just shove with these 12 enablers plus Thoughtseize. That wasn't enough. I think you have to lean in a little bit harder to Fantasticar than just that. There were a lot of times where I had 3 in the opening hand, where I had something like Dark Ritual, Fantasticar, Lotus Petal, but I couldn't get the 4th. And the games where I had the 1 ring, I just leaned on curses as killing faster instead. Good thought experiment, not quite enough support here. In terms of the curses here, I missed Curse of Misfortunes. I actively talked about that card multiple times. I kind of want that back in the deck. I think if I was going to run this again, given what I saw in the leagues today, I might try something like 2 main deck Duress and just 2 more curses. Play a Curse of Misfortunes and throw the Curse of Unbinding into the main deck. I did board in the Curse of Unbinding. It was a perfectly reasonable card, although the Underground Sea probably cost me a match where it did not allow me to cast Curse of Exhaustion. So maybe I should just keep it fully to 2 colors and not try the Curse of Unbinding. I also played hyper conservatively when I did have access to Curse of Unbinding, and I wanted to like Overwhelming Splendor and Cruel Reality and Curse of Death's Hold first. At which point, like, you can probably win with a ham sandwich, so maybe the Curse of Unbinding is not needed if I'm going to play so conservatively when my opponent is doing Reanimator stuff. But maybe I was only playing that conservatively because I specifically did have Leyline of the Void that I was worried about getting bounced. As a more general statement, though, this was an incredibly fast Legacy League. I am out here shoving Fantasticar. Arkin was out there shoving Fantasticar. Our final round opponent was out there doing dredge stuff. We might see a faster Legacy in the next week or 2 here as people play things that race opposing Fantasticar decks. It may be a bad time to try out some of the jank on the channel, but nevertheless, we'll keep doing our thing. Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment on the way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and if you have anything you want to see on the channel, the donation deck list queue is always open to some awesome decks. That information is in every video description. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!